Next question is, how do you ensure beneficial ownership requirements are satisfied?
All right. As part of our assessment and as part of our due diligence exercise that goes in all the time, the main parameters for which you assess beneficial ownership requirements are about control, management, and economic exposure. When we talk about economic exposure, we go on a concept called entitlement. In all transactions or in all structures, from the very beginning till the end of the life of a transaction or a structure or an investment fund, a clear entitlement of the real economic owners needs to be identified from the very start. So the whole exposure about understanding beneficial owners are about who exercises control, who exercises management, and the economic entitlement of the ultimate owner. This is where we assess. And without understanding the economic essence of a transaction and the ultimate beneficial owners actually benefiting from a specific transaction, we do not advise further. Therefore, the key reason to understand the whole beneficial ownership is to stay in line with the requirements in India, as well as provide us regulatory and compliance comfort when we look at the transaction. So the keywords would be economic control, management and control, and economic entitlement.
And how do intermediate holding companies fit into the structures?
All right. Interposing intermediate holding companies or SPV in any proposed structure are always based on the commercial rationale of how would you make that structure operate, sustain, and drive for the future. The reasons why we would be using intermediate holding companies depends on the place where the management and control is exercised, where the treasury function sits, where would the support services for the structure sit. That's why you would end up seeing in multiple structures, you would have intermediate holding companies in multiple jurisdictions, be it Mauritius, be it Singapore, be it Netherlands, be it a few other alternate jurisdictions as well, because this would be based on where would the support services to the whole ecosystem of the transaction operate. For example, many structures would end up having their intermediate holding companies in different jurisdictions to provide what we call as a regional treasury hub, as a treasury function. Many private equity funds and many private equity investments want treasury function to be consolidated at one specific place rather than to happen at each level of each holding companies. And therefore, all these are what materializes the decision to select basically a respective jurisdiction when it comes to holding companies in between. Thank you.
And how do you approach treaty eligibility?
Well, treaty eligibility is based on few fundamentals on how the investments are being structured. The first thing that we look at when tax advisors and tax consultant guides on selection of a jurisdiction or selection of a specific investment look-through vehicle to go into India would be the principal purpose test. The principal purpose test is key. Selection of a jurisdiction is based on the principal purpose test. Why did we even select the jurisdiction for that matter? And the commercial rationale of selecting that jurisdiction is of prima facie evidence of why you've decided to go for that country for investment. Selection of a country for treaty benefits or similar protection of investments and whatnot are based on core economic decisions, commercial rationale, and after passing the principal purpose test, that's where you would end up selecting a jurisdiction so that it is not questioned in the future as to why this particular jurisdiction has been selected for investment purposes.